Well, with this new change in virtual teams, the addition of virtual teams and global teams is actually going to require a new skill set from our knowledge workers. Primarily, we have, because of the area in which we work now, we're working primarily through the creation of value and work and wealth is through knowledge, the knowledge application process. And because of the fact our teams are so spread out geographically, it's going to require a new level of leadership and a new style of leadership to help manage those virtual teams and to also evaluate their performance as well. From the worker's perspective, it's going to require a whole new skill set about understanding about the different locales, also understanding the concept of diversity in a kind of real sense. Because not just racial diversity, but you're going to be looking at cultural diversity as well. Because some of your teammates may be from France or from America or from China or Brazil, and it's going to require you as a teammate to be more aware of these things and then utilize this information to the fulfillment of your organizational goals. Evaluation in the process is going to require that we put forth a new metric and measure about how we're measuring work, because work used to be measured in physical time. You came in from 8 to 5, the physical time you spend in your chair, that was a way in which people could attribute how much work you were doing. If you came into the process of someone saying like, hey, he's a hard worker because he spends a lot of hours here, that was a way that we sometimes look at performance. But because we don't necessarily have a physical space where that's occurring, it now requires us to look at more of what is being produced and how is that being produced. So one thing, I'm kind of being a futurist in this perspective of thinking about it, is that in one time we're now going to have to start looking at what is the overall contribution of that individual member and how do they add to the process of work. Were they difficult to work with? Were they easy to work with? Did we help to accomplish the goal? It's because one thing is to accomplish the goal. Don't get me wrong, accomplishment of the goal is very, very important, and that's the measurement of effectiveness. But efficiency is the utilization of the fewest amount of resources to achieve this. So what we're going to have to start measuring people on is their efficiency. How well do they interplay in the process of helping us get the job done? And with that in mind, it's going to open up a new world for us. For Gen Yers, particularly when they're going into recruitment, it is a whole new world. Because now people have their own public persona, their own public brand that they manage through social media. So this is why I say to my students oftentimes, be careful what you put on social media, because this is now part of your brand. When recruiters go out, they're going to, unfortunately, there's some legal wrangling about this here in the U.S., about the question of, does an employer have the right to look at your Facebook and your social media to determine the type of applicant or employee you would be? But on the other side of that, you as the employee and applicant, you control that space. So the question becomes, it's no different than standing in a public square and yelling from the top of your lungs, hey, this is me and this is what I'm about. So why can't the employer use this information? This is why, as you start looking for employment in the future, you're going to have to be more mindful about what you're putting out as your brand, as your social media brand that you're putting out there for yourself. And the beauty about this is you have the opportunity to construct a great brand for yourself through information technology. But many people haven't quite figured that out yet. So as I give this little closing piece to your last question, and I want to give a little bit of advice to you, the students who are watching this now, be mindful of the brand that you're putting out, because that brand is going to follow you for a long time. Computers don't forget.